Oh, and one thing I would even say is that's an area where people might not know. In esports, CSGO players are particularly good at that, by the way, because in games like League of Legends, where they also have a camera, if you don't know, here's what it's like to be the player. You're sat like I am at a PC now, and the whole time you're playing and during the entire stage match, guys are walking up with big cameras and they're shining, right? But so what you learn as the pro is you learn to see when the red light comes on. When that red light comes on the camera, you know he's recording you. You have to then react. Even League of Legends pros aren't as good as the CSGO pros are at that bit. They've all got, because these guys have got years of practice doing it. And then, here's the other thing I was going to say. So first of all, you never hold any fire back on this show. If you have a fire joke, even if it's a bit edgy, you always say it. That's the rule. Because like we'll help Sam. Sam will figure out if it's over the line or not. Like, but here's the joke that I was going to make. I actually think that this is an element I don't like about CSGO pros, Semler. You know, in the modern day, CSGO pros have spent too many events together, having drinks in the bar and being all friendly. And they're all like, it's the same complaint people actually have about the NBA now, Semler, which is because all the stars grow up playing the same like high school and college level tournaments. They're basically mates when they get to the NBA. So even though they should be like enemies, like, oh, I'm on the Lakers, you're on the Celtics, they're actually just mates. Like once the game's over, they're like, oh, gapping up, like, oh, see you in the off season, bro, which is like, look, that's fine for their life. But if you're the fan, you're sort of like, this is sort of like, remember, these games are a proxy for war. You're sort of like sucking away some of the rivalry there. Indeed. So here's the problem. I hate in CSGO, like at the PGL Stockholm major. Do you remember before the final where they brought out Nico and they brought out Simple and they were both stood there and they asked them like, they were like, oh, and what do you want to say to your opponent in this match? And instead of saying something like, well, Nico, you know, before this match, neither of us have majors. After this, I will have a major. I would say something like that, like some straight fire banter, right? Instead, they were all doing the opposite. They were all going, like Simple was going, I just hope it's a good game for both teams and both people are doing what I'm like, what even is this? Like, do you want to win, bro? So I have to say, I would be way more ruthless than any of these pros. Like, you know what I would do if I'm the Australis guys? And we're at Cologne. If you don't know, again, I'll give you some behind the scenes. You both stood behind the stage. They're on this side. You're on this side, on the different sides. You've got a stage manager who's literally waiting for a cue from the producer, and when he scores, like, go now, like first team's going to walk through. In that moment, right, when you could in theory talk to them and stuff, I would just go up to like mega inexperienced player like JDC if I'm Glaive, and I'd just go, it's great to see you here. Just whatever you do, don't choke. And then I would just walk off. I wouldn't say anything. I would just ice this motherfucker before the game. I don't know why people don't do that, dude. I would really fuck with him. Or I'd go up to him, and even better is if you do it sort of a bit shitty, like you're expressing fake concern. Like what you do is you go up again to a like inexperienced player. So go up to like the Tosh guy, and you just go like, look, it can get to your head a little bit when you look out in that crowd and see all those faces staring back. But just remember, it can only last a few hours. And then you walk again. You just all I want to do is put the thought in his mind that just blows it, just mental boom instantly. Sadly, in the modern day, it's all like sportsmanship and stuff. Similar, they all want to have a good game. Apparently, I don't. I want my opponent to mentally fold and question his whole existential existence before the game. That's what I want. And then I'll just take the easy win. I'll take that free money. Thanks. I'll play a Counter-Strike against someone else in the next round.
This sounds a lot like the School of Harding as well.
I would love that. Yeah.
Just mental games the entire way through, dude. How can you talk shit and get in their heads? I mean, do you think that okay, again, like showmanship, right? But I think that is going to be Navi and FaZe in the final.
Oh,
I think it's going to be Navi and FaZe.
Here's the thing, though. That's good because right now in World Counter-Strike, those are the only two teams you can really rely on. When they look good, they look really good. And also, they have a really good rivalry. People have missed this. You know, they've met in almost every tournament this year. Like, this team just constantly runs into each other. And obviously, it's now been back and forth. Originally, FaZe was beating Navi every time. Now Navi's getting the win. So I actually, put it this way, I really hope that is the final because I think that could be an amazing, remember, it's a best of 5 online as well. Like, that could be a fucking amazing final. And by the way, I don't know when this episode comes out, probably not by then, but if the episode's out, I'm actually doing a watch party for the final, but we'll see. I don't know if this episode will be out by then or not. Again, I don't know. Sam's movements are like God, mysterious. His own, doesn't communicate, does he? Does what he wants. Nah, he'll figure it out. He'll get it sorted.
We'll get in there. But I mean,
oh, and by the way, I will add that as well as a last detail. Even though we don't do the Patreon anymore, as I said, like, it's not a fan-supported show anymore. Like, we've got all the sponsors and stuff now. We're doing the company approach. That's another good reason, by the way, to keep By the Numbers going. I'm able to keep Sam employed and give him some money and help him stay in the industry and do some work. And obviously, this was his show as well. He was here from the right. If people don't know, that's actually also, I think we might have even been assigned him as like a guy, right? When we first started By the Numbers. I think that's even part of like how we got to work with him because he was like working with Richard on something else and he was like the producer. So to me, he's also part of the show, even if he's not on camera now, obviously. And obviously, he's not recording. If you don't know, he's not actually recording this episode of us now, so you're not going to hear him laugh or whatever. But if we do it live again, he can also do that. He can have the Sam fucking cackle when it says some outrageous, you know? Yeah,
exactly. That is
because we do need that actually as well. Because if you don't know, I've always admitted this, a flaw of mine, unfortunately. If people don't know this, this is actually how you should know how much work I've put into building up my charismatic persona. Because the problem is, if I don't actively do that, similar, like when I hear something funny, I do think it's funny in my mind, but I'm the guy where I just think inside my mind, haha, that's funny. So that's why, unfortunately, I look like a cunt because I always laugh at my own jokes because then I just tickle myself till it makes it go off. But I actually am really bad at laughing at other people's jokes. So famously, if Richard would make a mega joke, I'd just be sat here like... You actually need Sam to laugh, otherwise it just makes him look shit, doesn't it? Even if it was a really good joke, you know, that's the way it is.
You can't leave your co-host.
No, you can't. You can't.
It's part of the show. But then, hey, maybe that is actually like the inside knowledge, right? For the Cornwall.
Dude, the best one ever. I know I've told this story, by then it was years ago, so fans aren't going to remember. The best one of all time is there was this whole thing. Oh, I can't even remember what this silly in-joke was. Oh, fuck, I'm trying to remember that. There was some silly in-joke we had, right, where it was like, do you remember this? Where it was something to do with Team Liquid. It was like Team Liquid, Squawzed. You know, there was like some weird thing we were doing with the name like that, right? So anyway, something like, you know, EZPZ, Liquid Squeeze. That was it. You remember? There you go. Okay. I've nailed it. So we made like a shit tag on that. And what happened, it was one of those things people just kept saying in the green room until it morphed into that, right? It went from like easy peasy lemon squeeze to like the CSGO one to like EZPZ, Liquid Squeeze or whatever. And it was about, I think it was like a Henry G joke or some like in joke, right? And so we once did a desk where Richard tried to like bring the in joke up thinking it'd be funny, and he goes, I guess in the end, Thorin, you could say it was EZPZ, Liquid Squeeze. And all I did, right, is I just looked at him and I just went, what does that mean though? Even though it was like an in joke we've been doing for months and months. And I have just completely dropped him in it like a cunt, as though like it's just made that up on the spot, even though I knew exactly what he meant by it. Because unfortunately, to me, it was funnier that he just looked stupid doing it, because I just looks like, what are you talking about? You know, it was actually like a real... I know. Listen, part of me even felt more like a bit of a prick on him. Like, it's too funny. That's the problem. I felt like it deserved it in the moment. It's harsh, it's mad harsh, I will say.
You got your order for the fast food hours.
Exactly.
This is what you get, you fucker.
Oh, fuck. That's what used to be like for Richard Fisk. That was his life. Yeah, exactly. It's good on, isn't it? I know. It's sorry.
I can picture Richard as well, just looking at you like deadpan.
No, dude, he had that look behind his eyes, like motherfucker. Like, but obviously he can't. Like, he's already wasted time with his shit joke. Doesn't work. He has to move on at that point. Like, what can you do? Oh, yeah, you just done that. Yeah.
Man, I can picture the Richard.
It was quality. It was a quality band.
Dude, that's solid. That's quality bands right there.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.